Trump's win says something important about this country that I don't think is being discussed widely enough. It shows that there's a fundamental dissatisfaction with our current political and economic order. It shows that the people think it's time for a revolution. I've heard many progressives and people on the left framing this election as a testament to the country's bigotry and racism. America, according to them, hates black people, hates women, hates people of color, and this is just a symptom of that. But I honestly don't think that's the case. Hate is about someone's intentions, as if their goal was to step on you. Now, Trump himself has said hateful and derogatory things, and the effect of Trump's presidency will be discriminatory if Republicans follow through on their proposals. More women will die during pregnancy, mass deportation efforts will lead to terrifying racial profiling, destroying families as well as hurting the economy, our education system will get worse. It's all very scary. So if you're grieving or raging right now, then you have every right to do that. This video essay is about how we move forward living in a country where half the citizens seem to be in a mentally alternate reality. It's about understanding who and what we're dealing with within a historical and psychological context so we can maneuver through this moment with an accurate sense of what's really going on. Because no, Trump is not who we are. He's who is best at manipulating people. He's who our party leaders allowed to lie his way to the top. Hey, I'm Ahsante, and here's what I've been thinking. Even though it may seem illogical for people to vote for a wannabe dictator, this is the kind of decision that people make when they don't feel they're getting a fair share of economic prosperity. If you study history, this is what happens. This is how authoritarians gain popularity. If you look at the rise of Hitler, Stalin, Mussolini, they created cults of personality around their forceful ability to fix their country's economic problems. The way we manage the economy in this country does need to change if we want to have more peace, social cohesion, and general prosperity. Trump will definitely change it, even if voters don't realize that he won't be changing it to their benefit. Being duped by a con artist doesn't mean that con artist reflects who you are as a person. It means they knew how to read you and you didn't know to resist. Con man is short for confidence man, someone who makes other people confident in his abilities, who persuades others to trust him, to perceive him as someone who will benefit them, even when no real benefits exist. Trump started doing this nationally when he played a successful businessman on TV, when in reality he regularly runs businesses into the ground and refuses to pay people what they're owed. Trump is a salesman with no substance. That is the man's skill set, and he's incredibly good at what he does. Now, if you're fooled by a con man, does that make you gullible, unwise, easily manipulated? Maybe. Depends on how good the con is and whether you could have known better. Smart people can also be deceived, and our emotions are powerful. Fear and desire can easily get the better of us and lead us to make irrational decisions. That's part of human nature. Getting conned definitely means you made a mistake and trusted the wrong person, which you would need the humility to be able to acknowledge if you wanted to do better in the future. But falling for a con man doesn't make you evil. Carrying around the weight of thinking, "This country hates me," is heavy. It makes you bitter. It has you assuming the worst intentions of people. It makes you resent half this country unnecessarily, which threatens your mental health. And it has you villainizing the people that we'll ultimately need to persuade and build coalitions with if we want to stop them from voting for autocratic regimes. We need to hold Trump voters accountable for the consequences of their actions, while at the same time being clear about what their real intentions were. Because someone's intentions, someone's goals, that's what determines their behavior. And their behavior is what needs to change. If you want to persuade someone to change their mind, to join your side next time, then you need to speak to what their actual concerns are, not to what your judgments of them are. You need to speak to their actual concerns better than the con artist does. You can't villainize people and then expect them to empathize with you. I vote based on my own perception of justice and injustice in this country. I've studied how democracy directly affects my well-being. That's part of the information I'm sharing here on this channel. So preserving a free and just democracy is a priority for me. But not everyone shares my priorities. People will vote according to what they perceive to be in their interests. Everyone gets to make up their own mind. If we want to reach the people who don't agree with us, we need to talk to them on their terms. If we only talk about this in terms of racism, sexism, and discrimination, then I think we're going to miss the lesson of what went particularly wrong this time and how we could fix it. We're going to miss that the other side also wants a free and fair society, even though they've been misguided by their deceptive leaders into supporting the concentration of power into the leaders' hands. And as we discussed in a previous video, highly concentrated power leads to social problems. Now, sure, there are plenty of flagrantly racist people on the right, but they're in the minority. They're extremists. They're very loud, they get a lot of attention, and many of them control right-wing media using racism as one of those irrational tools to manipulate their viewers. And that's a problem. But that's not most citizens, and it's not unique to this moment. Racism has long been a part of the American landscape, but this is the first time we've elected an authoritarian criminal to be president, so something else is going on here. When you look at what happened in this election, it just doesn't track that racism or gender bias would be the motivating reason why Trump won. Trump significantly increased his support among almost every demographic group, across ages, races, genders, and religious groups.
Except black women.
Trump increased his support within solidly blue districts that are typically progressive, places in New Jersey, New York, and Illinois. That means that many people who voted for Obama and Biden in the past now just voted for Trump. And after all, we are still the country that did elect Barack Obama twice, not too long ago. You hear that when you listen to interviews and focus groups with Trump voters. Many of them did vote for Obama in the past. And let's not forget that even establishment candidate Hillary Clinton won 3 million more votes than Trump in 2016. This country was ready for a woman president, they just weren't strategically positioned in the key geographic areas needed to win the Electoral College. And you'd also hear in interviews with Trump voters this year that they didn't like the racist things that Trump said. That racist Puerto Rico joke at the Madison Square Garden Trump rally was not well received by the crowd. It bombed. J.D. Vance's rally joke about drinking soda being racist fell flat. Even at these rallies with die-hard Trump supporters, racism was not met with roaring applause. That's not what those folks were there for. And exit polls showed Kamala Harris had a higher favorability rating than Trump. People liked Harris more as a person than they liked Trump as a person. They just didn't want Harris running the place. And while race and gender likely did play a role, it just doesn't explain why such a wide variety of people across this entire country all just moved to the right. Rather, I think this happened because people across the entire country are fundamentally dissatisfied with politics as usual and fed up with not having enough money to provide for a good life. People are dissatisfied with the current political and economic order, regardless of the race and gender of who's running it. Republicans, but also independents and Democrats, are pissed about our rigged economic and political systems that unfairly reward those at the top while shutting out those at the bottom. We're done being kept in our place and told what to do. We're ready for a radical change. That is who we are. Now, just under half of us saw that a Trump presidency would bring about an even worse political and economic order, so it was worth it to vote for Harris, even if only to stop Trump. And some of us, like myself, who really follow politics, were even seeing that Biden was moving the country onto a better course. He governed in a way that avoided the recession that everyone had feared, he was pro-union, the first president to ever walk a picket line, and his policies were supportive of the working class. And many of us could see that Kamala Harris, although she may not have represented the radical change we desired, was a good person. She had demonstrated good character. She carried herself in a professional and disciplined way. Her campaign was centered on helping the people of this country, not on promoting herself or her own identity. She's patriotic, but not in that weird exclusionary way, and she's spent basically her entire career in public service. And unlike Trump, she respects the Constitution and the rule of law, which is the only way to guarantee your rights. Even if you're someone who's protesting the status quo, it's much more effective to protest under a president who respects your right to protest rather than a president who wants to gun down protesters and throw all his opponents in jail. It's better to protest under someone who, at the end of the day, cares about your well-being rather than someone who only cares about their own personal power. But just over half of us believed in the apprentice character and did not see the threat of Trump for what it was. Those voters wanted to take a sledgehammer to the system, even if it meant trusting a lying, lawless criminal with the safety of the country. And the rest were either feeling too morally superior to do the work of winning, or thought that both parties were the same and nothing would ever change, so they could just stay home. They didn't see anything appealing on offer, so they didn't vote. I think this is a story about people wanting a revolution and having no valid way to get it. Having the choice between a liar promising change and the status quo, with no candidate that genuinely represented the radical economic and political change that people are craving.
Bernie Sanders.
It's a story of how economic inequality, combined with irresponsible leadership, destroys democracies. And it's a story where both political parties failed to serve the people, and now we'll all have to pay the price. I'll be getting into more details in the full video essay, which I'll be publishing soon. Once that's up, you'll be able to find it here and linked below, if you're interested. Think about it.